Welcome to another episode on Timeline. I am your host, Sharon Ajan of always.
I am Hannah Omokafedini. Is always excited to be on the set of Timeline.
Well, today we're going to be talking about a very important issue, something that plays a significant role in a country, and that is citizen literacy. We have a guest in the house to help us dive right into this conversation. We're going to go on a short break, and when we return, Timeline continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Timeline. Our guest is the head of operations, Electoral College Nigeria, Sakinat Bello. It's good to have you in the studio with us.
Thank you so much, Sharon. It's a pleasure to be here with both of you.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Well, just like I stated, we'll be discussing on citizen literacy. As we all know, citizen literacy goes beyond, knowing how to vote or knowing how to read and write, or just basically knowing about the law. It's basically the ability of the people to, be able to build systems around their daily lives, the government, your health systems, and basically all of that. And that's why we are having this conversation, to see how they can, or to see the lapses we have with citizens not being, educated enough in all of this aspect, right, Omokafe?
Definitely. When we have a very strong bedrock of literacy, then definitely we're going to be having a very healthy society, because healthy citizens lead to healthy societies.
Definitely. Well, Sakinat, let's come to you. Tell us in the most simplest term, because of course there are other people watching and want to carry everyone along. What is citizen literacy?
So thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here once again from the Electoral College Nigeria. For us, I think citizen literacy is the ability for citizens to stay informed and to be able to understand the information and to be able to exercise whatever information, or to be able to portray whatever information or whatever knowledge they've actually said in the government, in their daily life, both at the local government level, at the state level, at the national level, and of course at the global level. So it's just beyond yourself. It's you yourself at all levels that you find yourself, your ability to exercise your roles and responsibility with the information you have to be the best of yourself. So that's what it means for us.
I like her definition, because it goes to show that having the ability to read and write alone doesn't just help a society, but the ability of you to be able to apply that knowledge in your daily life ensures that our society becomes healthy. Now, still in citizen literacy, let's look at how important it is for citizens to be literate for our societies to be better. Do you think that having a community of citizens that ensures that every single knowledge they get to have, they apply it, like I said earlier, is good enough? Or should we just have a society of citizens that are just bare members who do not care about what happens?
I think the power of information can never be overemphasized. If people are informed, if they are better informed, they can make better decisions, and it's going to translate to better governance and better action. In a society where people are not informed about whatever is happening in the community, we begin to see chaos, we begin to see misinformation, you begin to see disinformation, and you know the level at which misinformation and disinformation has caused a lot of in our society today. So if citizens are not informed or they are not educated, there is a whole lot of gap that we need to fill. A whole lot of gap is created there, because coming back to the citizen engagement in the government, which is the very most important part of it. Even for us, as our holy book, they say the Constitution is our holy book in Nigeria. But I can tell you that if you count 10 people now, maybe one person is only one person you can find that actually read through the Constitution. And this is our guiding document. This is what guide our daily life and daily activities in the country. But then you find that people are not even reading that. They don't even read the Constitution. They don't even know what the Constitution is. Then coming back to the government initiative, what are the government doing? People don't even know what the government is doing. They don't even care about it. Okay, it's government thing, it's their thing, and nobody cares about it. And when it affects you directly, that's when we begin to ask questions. Who does this? It shouldn't be that way. Citizens must continue to ask for information. And at all levels, the government must provide the access to this information. We have the FOI Act, which is the Freedom of Information Act, which said citizens have some level of request or level of privilege at which they can ask government officials to give them information. But how best are we using this FOI? For us as a country, we're still struggling to get there. Even for the global country too, they are still struggling to get there. And the information or the access to information is one of the paramount part of democracy that we talk about. You can talk about democracy when citizens are not informed, when citizens cannot have access to those information. And you talk about democracy, you can talk about democracy without talking about citizen and civic information. So it's very important that we're able to understand all of this thing, because there is no how we want to talk about citizenship or civic education that we don't talk about democracy, we don't talk about governance, we don't talk about politeracy. People must have the knowledge they have, the knowledge and the information they have to exercise their role and responsibility as citizens. To hold government accountable, you need information. To exercise your role as a civil person, you need information. And if you don't read from yourself, you won't get those information. If government don't provide those information, you won't know how to engage them. So at all level, being the citizen part of it, the governance part of it, the public office part of it, everybody needs to be carried along, and everybody must continue to engage. And how do you engage? You must continue to provide those information if you are the one providing it at that part of the end, at that end of the coin. And if you are the one to read at the other coin, at the other side of the coin, you must continue to engage to get the access, to get the right information to engage people.
Interesting. A report by UNESCO says that about 87% of adults can actually read and write, but we still have a lapse of 739 million adults that cannot read and write. And I say this to say that that they basically, it's a report about a basic literacy. And when you put it side by side, people just believe that people that have basic literacy, that can read and write, should be able to possess citizen literacy. And I'm throwing that question to you. How does citizen literacy go beyond, just reading and writing?
Okay, so that would take me back to what we do at the college. So it's a thing for you to go to school. It's a thing for you to have your professional part of it that you want to learn or you want to do research on. For civic citizens education, it's another part of it, and it's a compulsory part of it. However, for people take it as an optional part of it. Like what we do in the college, we have students of law, we have students of politeracy, political science students, we have students across all board. And when they come to the college, we have the course that we take, Political Literacy 101, and it's actually a 12 module courses that dissect from the government to politics to human rights to citizenry and also good governance. But by the time people come to the college and when we begin to take classes, even students of political science said, we've not learned this in school, we've not gone through this in school, because citizen education is actually something that is another sector that is beyond your professional life, and it's something that we all have to learn. You don't wait until somebody tell you about the Constitution. These are your basic civic responsibility that you are supposed to read. Nobody should tell you the role of the local government chairman in your community. You are supposed to learn that one because it's someone that you elect into the position. Nobody need to tell you the 3 tiers of government and how they exercise their roles and responsibility. These are your personal or your civic rights and responsibility that you need to go to find out. So we must shift those knowledge beyond. So for citizen knowledge, it's something that is people need to engage. And what we do in the college is we try to see how we can dissect those information in the simplest time for them to engage. And just yesterday we were having our graduation, and it was quite interesting for people to give in their testimony. Even lawyers are there. You have people that are just lawyers, you have professional all across all level. And when they come into the college and they go through the Political Literacy 101, their perspective changed. Their perspective on governance changed. their perspectives on civic engagement, change human rights, change inclusion, change politics, a whole lot of political, psychological thing need to change. And all of these informations are not what you go to learn in the school. They are not what you go to learn in a random school. Even when you learn some things in the school, we have the civic education in primary schools or in secondary schools, and we have the social studies in primary schools. Then we have maybe basic studies in the higher institution. And we also have I know we do have citizen engagement in polytechnics or in institutions as borrow courses. But the whole thing about citizenry is something that you need to learn by yourself. If you want to hold government accountable, you want an inclusive society, and you want to contribute to your community, you must seek for this knowledge by yourself. And that's what we're trying to bring on the table for young people in Nigeria, for us in Electoral College. When they come into the college, and then we have a course that we do, the psychology of politics. By the time anybody hear what is psychology of politics, and by the time we begin to go into it, people begin to understand, okay, the psychology is what the society or what people want you to see. But what is the real politics? What is politics in itself? People see politics as a dirty game. But by the time they go through the course, they begin to see that politics is not dirty. It depends on how you run it. And if you say politics is dirty, and you let the dirty people run it, the dirty people will make dirty policies for you. And you will obey by it, and it will be on you. So sometimes the citizen's perspective needs to change. And how does that change? It depends on how they are able to engage and continue to ask the right questions and continue to seek for knowledge. The knowledge wouldn't come to you, but it's your basic right or basic expectation as a citizen and responsibility for you to get all of those information. The government wouldn't come to tell you this is what we need to do. If you really want the government to exercise its roles and responsibility, you must know the roles and responsibility, so that by the time they are not doing the right thing, you can begin to say these are your roles and responsibility, and this is how best we think we can make it better. And the power of citizen engagement can never be overemphasized. If we have informed citizens, we have conscious citizens that knows the responsibility of government, things will work the way it should be. We have the Open Government Partnership, which is a platform that even broaden the need for citizens to get involved in what government is doing. But if we begin to look into the state, how many states do we have the Open Government Partnership that sign into all of those things? Not every state has signed into the Open Government Partnership. And for states that have signed into the Open Government Partnership, we begin to see how citizens inform decisions, citizens inform whatever government is doing. And that has continued to translate into action and citizens taking ownership. Because if citizens are not part of the decision making, they are not part of the whatever program government want to do. The ownership is not that easy. And then when ownership is not there, we know how people don't even value whatever government is doing. And it's now become misplaced of priority. But when citizens are involved and they are carried along, you begin to see informed decision. And you begin to see policies that speak to needs and speak to priority that people want. And by the time you begin to see priority being attended to, then you begin to see ownership, and then you begin to see citizens saying that we can see that our action is actually translating, and they can take ownership of whatever government initiative they are doing. However, if it also helps to build government trust, because if governments see whatever they are part of the decision making, and they're beginning to see whatever they are doing come to reality, then the government begin to earn the trust of the citizen, because the citizen feel like what they are saying is what the government is doing, and government is actually begin to see the level of engagement at which citizen engage in whatever program they are doing. So the power of engagement can never be overemphasized. And if we talk about engagement, we can have engagement without you having the information and also exercising your responsibility. Nobody is going to come to your doorstep to tell you this is what you do. You need to step up and ask the right questions. it's always good to criticize the government, but you must be constructive. And how do you criticize the government when you don't even have the right information? So we need to get all of those informations very right. Even when we have the civic space that given the level for you to engage, for you to ask government officials or government what they're doing, the Freedom of Information Act is also there that guides you on how to get information that you should use to engage the citizen. So at every level, citizens must continue to play their primary roles of exercising their basic responsibility of engaging and continue to seek for knowledge in their own jurisdictions as citizens.
This reminds me of the fact that we all have to collaborate to ensure that our society becomes better, and we do not have to, just leave the entire work for the government alone to do it. We have to be prepared too for all the opportunities that comes with it.
Definitely. We're going to go on a short break, and when we return on More Cafe, will take us through social commentary. Stay with us.
Culture connects us beyond borders. It's a bridge between traditions, creativity, and the future.
Culture is alive, shaping identities and communities every day.
Art tells stories of resilience and vision.
Artists blend tradition with innovation.
Cultural preservation creates sustainability and empowerment.
Culture evolves and adapts.
Music and dance unites communities through movement.
And right here, in the heart of our cities, artists and creators are keeping these cultures alive.
On Culture Cove, let's explore,
celebrate, and preserve the arts and culture that define us.
Welcome back. This is Timeline on More Cafe. Over to you.
Thank you, Sharon. This has been an interesting topic so far. It has helped us to understand that as citizens, we should not just be people who know how to just read and write alone or know your letters or your numbers, but you also have to apply that knowledge in your daily living, because applying that knowledge affects us in every single area. But we're going to be looking at everything that some people are talking about as regards citizens' literacy on the net. So let's take it. So this is from Eugene Cho. He says, if we reduce civic engagements to a vote every 2 or 4 years, we are part of the problem. Please vote, but don't just vote. Embody your faith, be light and salt, be a good neighbor, advocate for the last and least, share the gospel, work for the common good, seek justice, be a peacemaker. Now, this is emphasizing another part of citizens' literacy, which is civic literacy, that talks about citizens being involved in government. So do you have like a thing or two to say about this?
So I think one of the very most important part of it is people think it's just after voting and after voting what next. So it's good that you exercise your role in the voting system, but how do you ensure that after voting, the right person that is voted into office actually taking the roles and responsibility and do the needful? That's why before and after voting, you need to ensure that you're part of the process. Even when the right person is in the office, are you ensuring that he's actually doing the right thing? And that's why it's very important. Beyond just voting. Voting is just, I think, 20% of it. And then is in the next 4 years, is going to be in office and is going to make decisions that affect our basic lifestyle. So from the healthcare sector to education to basic amenities and all the things. So if you vote at one day, then in the next 4 years, you want to go there and sleep back and wait until another 4 years. That shouldn't be. So the whole 4 years should be an engagement platform whereby you continue to engage and see how best that person can actually exercise his basic office jurisdictions, so that you can have the benefit or the dividend of democracy at which you've actually exercised your vote in. So that's it for me.
I'll take that opinion as you go into the farm when you know that the land is fertile enough, and then you plant and you just go to your house to sleep. and then you expect that in the next few months there's already fruits growing or harvest there when you didn't do anything about it. Let's look at our last tweet. This is from Hita, and she says that nothing matters more to the public value of education than literacy. Learning to read and then reading to learn fuels the critical thinking adults need at work, at home, and in civic life. As artificial intelligence accelerates, this work is more urgent than ever. How can you see the interrelation between artificial intelligence and citizens' literacy coming together?
So for me, whatever you see in the AI is what is put in the system. Whatever information you see out there is what people put out in there. So, and a whole lot of conversations are there that we don't even say or we don't even see. And if we want to continue to focus on what we see out there, is what they put out there. So what are you putting out there? What narrative are you putting out there? Because it's what you put out there, somebody else will see. And that's why it's very important for us to read and continue to engage. We talk about the misinformation and disinformation. Whatever information that is there, no matter how bad it is, that's what the AI will accumulate together and give it back to you. So if it's disinformation, you get it back. If it's misinformation, you get it back. But how do we continue to change the narrative whereby as citizens, we don't just put in whatever information, whatever data, whatever communication we want to put there. We must put in the right information so that whoever person is looking at it from other part of it, or whenever they are using the artificial intelligence, which is actually there to make it seamless and to make information very easy and comfortable to access, then the machine part of it would actually bring in those right informations that we need. And it's actually very important that whatever engagement we want to do, people need to be deliberate. If you're deliberate and you're conscious, it means whatever thing you're putting there, it's not just for selfish interest. And that's why we talk about the Freedom of the Freedom of Information Act, which is actually giving the citizen the ability to actually get the right information they need from the government. You don't need to cook up any information. You can write to them as public office and they would give you the right information. And when we have right information out there, it informs citizens. And then we begin to see the issue about misconception, disconception, misinformation. Then we begin to have some reduction. And then that is one of those things that actually affect the level of trust and engagement for government, whereby people see an information today and then it's like, oh, this is not what is happening. Before you can counter that information down,
spread a whole lot of
So we need to make sure that we get the right information out there so that whatever tools or whatever machineries is there to actually make it streamless, then we can have the basic the right information that people need.
I also believe that it is very necessary for governments to have an open source system where people do not necessarily have to write out that they want to see how the money is being spent, the budgeting and everything, but it should be opened for every single person to be able to access. We have those in other countries, advanced countries already. They already have such platforms, such websites where people can just go there and they can see exactly how funds are being, spread across, allocated to several needs of that particular society. But that's how we wrap it on this particular segment. Over to you, Sharon.
All right, Sakinat, let's talk about how the citizen literacy can literally affect the daily life of people. You made mention of some bigger countries, some more developed, advanced countries, and not, just to name a few, would see Japan and Switzerland. You could see how much your system works because the citizen has the right knowledge of taxes, of welfare, of public services,
technology,
and basically all of that. Let's even bring it to the knowledge that everybody can attest to. Let's talk about dumping of refuge. You in some areas, or let's bring it down to Africa, you'd see your citizens would just like dump refuge anywhere, and even when the sign is there. They just do that regardless of the fact that the law is already, there's a fixed law telling you not to do that and how much pollution that can cause for that community. And that basically translates to the lack of literacy they have in regards to that, that unit. Now tell us, how does citizen literacy affect the daily living of citizens in countries across the globe?
So I think one of the very most important thing I would like to talk about is the power of citizen engagement and for the love of country. One of those things, when you have those advanced country, one of those things, if you meet an American child today and you talk about anything, is for the love of the country. If you meet a Japanese child today that is maybe in grade 4 or grade 5 is for the love of the country. They have this consciousness about the country and they have the passion to make the country better. But for us over the years, maybe because of a lot of issues that is happening, the government trust and the people is actually eroding, and people don't have trust in government, or people don't have confidence in government, and that's why they feel like the country is not working. We've had the Japa syndrome where people leave the country and a whole lot of conversation is going on. But we don't have a country when people are not there. We are all part of the country and we all have our roles and responsibility. And until we begin to put it at the back of our mind that our daily actions and our daily reactions contribute to whatever we see in the country. Government is not just one person. That one person that work with government is someone's parent, is someone's brother, is someone's sister. Until we are conscious of our attitude and we begin to act deliberately for the country to move forward, the country can move forward. Someone is there and he saw that signpost, don't put the refuse, dump refuse there. And in the very early in the morning, the person, you see the same community people will come and dump refuse there. Do you need the government to tell you that? No, it's individual thing. So as citizen, one of the most things before we can even ask what is government doing is ourselves. Government, we are all part of the government. We are all part of the system. It's just our level of engagement or the level at which we see ourselves is different. And because we elect our people, we elect people in the position to take charge and people are doing all of those things. But if you check across board, every household, by the time you check, maybe let's say 1 person or 2 person work with the government. And how are they exercising the rules and responsibility and the trust of that office they are holding? And one of those things is we must also hold them accountable. When you don't hold people accountable, they don't even do anything. So citizens must continue to see how they can hold whoever person in position accountable. And you can hold people accountable when you're not exercising your roles and responsibility. We talk about the new tax policy that is coming up in January. I bet you because everybody do businesses and it's going to affect our businesses. That's why you begin to see businesses going to ask questions and you're beginning to see the conversations. But then the healthcare system has been there over the years. The national insurance scheme has been there over the years. The primary healthcare board has been there over the years. These are the first handshake to people to get good healthcare, good education in schools. Have we been asking questions about that? Nobody asks questions about that. Nobody cares about all of those things. Maybe because we're just busy doing our things. But then it's the tax policy and they know money will leave your pocket as a business person and everybody is out there. So we must be deliberate in whatever thing we want to do. Not until when it affects us directly or when it affects us keenly. Even when it's at the grassroots level, we must ensure that we get this. And another thing is, even when people want to get the access to information, we must speak the language at which they understand. We must localize the information. And whatever information we must make sure it is accessible across board, especially for persons with disability. Are we making this information accessible to them? People that the visually impaired person, the people that are having they have I don't want to use the wrong terms for them, but the people with the special needs or people with specific needs, are we really making this information accessible to them? And even the local community, how best are we localizing these informations? It's quite interesting to see what the budget IT is doing, the Civicus is doing with dissecting the budget analysis, and then we have constituency project breaking down to, but at community level, how are we ensuring that the woman that sell akara or the boy that ox on the street knows the basic policies or basic programs that is actually happening in this community? So we must continue to make information accessible. We must make it localized to actually the audience that we want to, and citizens must be open to actually see how they can use this information to hold government accountable. Because the whole essence of having this information is not just for you to go and have and keep. It's for you to engage and ask the right questions. And when you begin to ask the right questions and engage, then you begin to see translation of how this thing can actually speak to reality, where government can continue. Governments government only works when all arms works together.
On deck.
If all hands are not on deck, if government is saying, we are giving you this, we are giving you that, we've done this, we've done that, and government has said it, but as citizen, have you gone to verify those information? Have you gone to see those things? Are you assessing those facilities? How is those facilities? Are you assessing it? When you assess it, you're giving feedback, and when you give feedback, it makes government better. But when we get those informations, we don't utilize it, or we don't engage in it, then how do government get feedback to make them better? So it's a whole circular thing that every part of the circle needs the other part of the circle to actually work. So every hands must be on deck to ensure that we have citizen actually informed decisions, and government actually use that to actually give them the dividend of democracy at which they want or get their needs.
Interesting. Thank you, Sakinat. This has been such a very informative, I would say, and of course, very interesting conversation.
Thank you.
Well, that's where we draw the line on timeline. Remember, an informed country or nation is a growing nation. A growing nation is a developed nation. A developed nation is definitely a leading nation, basically. Right, Omokafe?
Definitely. And we all have to put our hands on deck to ensure that our society is better, that we are better, and that we all come together to ensure that every single person is okay.
Until next time, see you again.